Students study and analyze the dyeing, weaving techniques and designs of IKAT from India and make a comparative study with double IKAT from Indonesia, Oshima from Japan, Mudmi from Thailand, Darai from Iran, Dhaka art from Nepal. Today, we are going to have a mind tour to Indonesia with a special guest, Ms. Carmanita, and have a know-how of IKAT in Indonesia. We are pleased to welcome our special guest speaker, Ms. Carmanita ma'am from Indonesia. Welcome ma'am. It gives us immense pleasure to have you amidst us today. I would like to extend my heartiest gratitude to Ms. Aparna Balijipalli, parent of Alikya Pasumarthi of 12C, for introducing Ms. Carmanita to us. Ms. Carmanita, an ace fashion and batik designer, started her own company since early 80s, developing fashion with its own textile with batik. Ma'am owns batikers of 12 women and a workshop carries 15 staff including pattern makers, sewers and company staffs developing batik into today's demand. Ma'am has won the World of Fashion in 1987. She has developed batik in Lycra with DuPont, an American company, had Mercedes batik created and has exhibited in Europe and Japan. She has her own label of clothing, Carmanita brand, and one of the founder of Indonesian Batik Foundation since 1994. It is indeed a proud moment for all of us, ma'am, that you have agreed to be a part of our ISA program. Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning. We're still morning, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I hope you are all well. Yeah, I hope you are all well. And I hope this COVID doesn't stop us from creating more and expanding more what we have, what we can share. Like this morning, I like to share with you all. Actually, this IKAT for me is not my special line, but since I'm a designer who developed many fabric, and even the basic fabric I do with the Calcutta characters for my batik. So I don't mind talking about the IKAT. No. I think India and Indonesia has a very common common art of fabric in IKAT. I studied IKAT from India, and what you can compare about the Indian IKAT and our IKAT is comes from the thread. The thread in India is so fine, thin, and you can make the styling of fashion clothes. But in our country, it is not applicable to do it for fashion because they use it for dead people, procession of a marriage, wedding, newborn babies, those kind of traditional methods. But anyway, the IKAT in our country and your country has a similarity because we scatter a lot of workers from the lower income people. And we know India and Indonesia, we cannot compare the people, how many population you have, and how many population we have. But we can compare the strength of art that we have together. And that's why I can always work with the Indian art fabric through all these years. I had my shows with Rohit Bal a few years back, about 15 years back. 2 years ago, I had a show with Ritu Berry in Delhi, and it becomes so close, and every time it becomes closer for me with the Indian work. And that's why it's my pleasure to be here. But sharing IKAT is something you cannot compare with other fabric. IKAT has gone a long way. I can tell you one. Can you present the PPT for me, please, Ranita? Ranita?
Yes.
Hello? Can you present the PPT? Oh, hang it. Oh, hang. Hello? Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my PPT. Can you present my PPT?
Yeah, ma'am is presenting. Krishna Kumari ma'am is presenting, ma'am. Yeah, she will be presenting.
Okay. As you can see, the glimpse from the IKAT design from Bali. This is the most closest thing we have with Indian IKAT and our IKAT. This IKAT green thing has a lot similarity with your like Patola IKAT from India. And the Gujarati travelers come to our country also inspire us to create IKAT as similar to the Indian. You know, Indian has the longest time of weaving compared to our country. So from that part of Gujarati tradings that came to our part of the world, Indonesia, that's why we can share the richness of IKAT. But the Toraja, the Kalimantan, and the other part of Sumba, that's the strongest IKAT we have. And the double IKAT, the triple IKAT, and still, but we cannot compare the thread like what the India has. Indian has a very beautiful thread to do the weaving in IKAT or in other kind of weave. We cannot, because we don't have the source of the thread. This is what we are lack of. But hopefully in the future, your country and our country will trade thread, give us the thread, so we can create a better IKAT and more better designs and colors. And for that I really enjoy being working with Indian developers of art fabric, and I hope to have a long more term to do this working together. And any question you can ask me, because I have not so much knowledge of IKAT, but I know the IKAT we have and similarity because of the Gujarati we share on the trading time at the long before this. Thank you.
Ma'am, if you can just give us a mind map of how it is different from our Indian IKAT, and also what is the thing which is different in Indonesia, and how you use IKAT generally in Indonesia.
Okay. Now the difference between Indian IKAT and our IKAT, like I said before, I studied the difference is from the thread. Number one is the thread. India has a beautiful thread for the weaving. You have a very thin of thread. You create your own thread. We have to import the thread. We get a thicker thread. We cannot use our IKAT for the fashion line. We use IKAT, Indonesia use IKAT as a traditional ceremonial, like baby born, wedding, for the dead people, and for other ceremony. And this IKAT in each part of Indonesia has a different type of ceremony. Sumatra has different part of ceremony. They use their IKAT. Toraja, which is in Sulawesi, they use their IKAT mostly in a death procession. And in Kalimantan is another story of IKAT. And then in Sumba has many parts of IKAT developers, which is until now they're still alive, but hopefully they will continue to be living. Which is difficult for us because we depend on the thread from outside. we cannot loom our own thread. We don't have the tree that you have to create the thread. So that's the difference. I love Indian fabric because you have the best thread you can ever have. Very thin, you can choose from silk or cotton or even raw silk. And I use that. I'm still working together, ordering the basic plain white zari with different zari on the side. And I've been working 7 years with the Calcutta fabric weavers. And this IKAT, I'm hoping India will give us a better thread because we cannot import it from anywhere else but from India. And now even the type of dyeing, UK, they stopped dyeing method. We're using this lactol or whatever because they think it's ruining the earth. So we can only import it now from India and from China. And I think India has a better idea of coloring. China is gone with their own traditional method of making cloth. Only India will remain, and I hope India will stay on remaining. Keep on your fabric. I think it's the best I ever known. Nowhere else, but I love India for their art of fabric. And that's the difference.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have seen that generally IKAT here, generally during our mother's time or during their grandmother's time, we had seen that it was more limited to the traditional garb. But right now, your weavers are doing a great job. That it is also for the millennials, ma'am. Can you just have or throw some light on that front, ma'am?
I think millennial today expand more in their view of accepting this traditional cloth to be worn as fashion. So we try hard to present this kind of cloth to be able to be worn as clothing. Otherwise, they don't know what to do if they're just receiving a piece of cloth and then what do they do with it? Even in batik is that way. We try to do our best to keep up with the millennial time so they can continue accepting, wearing it, and tribute to it. That way, we're still living because the biggest how do you call that? The whole work system for these crafters, they will be gone if nobody wears them. But I'm also a little bit sad with India. If I go back 20 over years ago, the first time I was in India, maybe 25 years ago, you wear your traditional clothes everywhere in India. But today I see more people wearing jeans, and maybe they wear kurta on top, but at the bottom they don't wear churidar anymore. They wear jeans, they wear t-shirt, which is sad, Otherwise, later on, your crafters will be gone. If not, we tribute them, this kind of work. So I hope we can keep this beautiful work in order to continue the work of art and fabric.
Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, if you can enlighten us about the weavers there as to how they go about with the IKAT in Indonesia.
Okay, IKAT will never change. Each part of the island of Indonesia has its own way of doing IKAT. Like the Sumba, they mostly have this kind of animal stuff because they are very famous with the horses, the buffalo, so they and the deers. So like you have the elephant in India. And then when you go back to Toraja, Upper Sulawesi, they have traditional food like old ancient people. Tradition, maybe you believe it or not, but when somebody died, they keep the body until the time they have money to have this ceremony, and they use like a witch or something. They let these dead people walk with the clothing, and certain cloth can make them walk by itself, like something like that. So it's more to the death tradition in Toraja. And then other part of Kalimantan is more to the the people in the jungle. They live from the tree. They live from. So if you see the Kalimantan, the Borneo, their threat is different, like other islands of Indonesia. I can continue looking at different part of Indonesia that still using IKAT, but not so many now. Like I said, because their lack of threat to work with. But we try our best to provide them with what they need, because they don't need the cloth, they need the thread, and it's a long work, right? Very long work. I can't imagine if you do in a thinner thread like the Indian stuff. It's more difficult. But now you do on print also on that, but Indonesia as well. And that quote unquote, I don't say I disagree with it, but I would say that if you keep on printing, and where are these going to go later on? It's going to be vanished soon. And that's from my point of view.
Ma'am, I request Principal Ma'am, if you have few questions for Ma'am.
Question from me or from your side?
Okay. Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. It had been an enriching experience, and we are in awe as to how the weavers and designers have given it a new color palette, patterns, placements, and this enables to connect with even the millennials nowadays. We have seen a geographical pattern, which is one of the characters of the fabric itself, and makes it very friendly to play with. We have seen IKAT. It is not only today, it is restricted to the traditional garb, but we have seen it's also the breezy tops to the funky footwears and bags. The textile techniques is being used by the designers in more contemporary avatar. IKAT will always have a strong presence in global fashion. It is so versatile a fabric. They have uplifted the fabric to a level that it cannot be dethroned now, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being a part of our ISA program, for your time which you have given us. It's indeed an experience of a lifetime. And our ISA program would be enriched now with your presence, ma'am. Thank you from the core of our heart, ma'am, once again. My heartfelt gratitude to our principal ma'am, vice principal ma'ams, headmistresses, and the teachers and my dear student for being a part. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anytime.